everyone, and welcome to the Pint Pals podcast. We invite you on this journey to explore the world of craft beer. Each episode, we'll take a new step into the craft beer world to help you find the best ones. We'll sample some beers, give our rating on them, and share some laughs along the way. So please join us, and remember, craft beer is for everyone.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pint Pals podcast. It is I, Lucas, and Nate is unfortunately not here with us again, but instead I'm joined by Blake from Brewker. How's it going, Blake?
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to come on. Now, this is my rough understanding of Brewker as somebody who is subscribed. It's basically a craft beer delivery service that shows up once a week at my front door.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. What we wanted to do was kind of create this local craft beer experience where we deliver, beers directly from local breweries and makes it a little bit easier to try unique and different beers. So yeah.
How did you get started with Brewker?
Yeah, cool question. So my first startup, this is kind of, I'll say my second startup, was a pivot, and I started in the restaurant delivery business. In that product, we were kind of described as a mix between HelloFresh and DoorDash. And so we had built a pretty unique software platform to do that. And since day one, I was like, I think this platform could work really well in the craft beer world. And over some time, I realized that the dinner delivery business was going to be difficult to get into, and what our product was for that market. And so we moved into the craft beer world. And so I think, as a subscriber, one function that we do is we recommend a new beer every week. So our goal is to take some of that choice paralysis out of it. And then we use this network of awesome local partner breweries that we recommend beers from. So it was kind of started in the restaurant delivery world and moved into craft beer. And we really wanted to just only focus on craft beer. So we started I say our official launch was August of 2022.
Oh, nice. So wow, that's real recent.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was gonna ask if you ever worked in the craft beer industry, but you said you came from the restaurant world of things.
Yeah. So kind of the short background is I was a civil engineer in college, then always been in the business world since graduating. And the most recent job was what I call like batch manufacturing in the chemicals world. So where my heart is manufacturing and supply chain excellence. And I just happen to like to drink a lot of craft beer. So I can't say that I'm like a huge expert in how beer is made or all the taste profiles. But what I understood a lot was like how to do batch manufacturing, which lines up really well in the craft beer world, and then how to get that product from point A to B if they're are kind of enthusiast about it.
No, that's awesome. As somebody who uses the service, I personally I'm a fan of it, or I A, probably wouldn't be using it, and B, probably wouldn't you having you on the show. So no, I've been looking forward to this episode for a while now, just getting you to come on and kind of talk about everything, because I knew that it was new. I didn't realize that it was this new. And as somebody who is involved in the craft beer scene, I work in a brewery, I do the podcast, I do TikTok, I do a bunch of different things craft beer related. I saw this service, and believe it or not, I first came across it on an ad on Untapped. And
Awesome.
I thought that was fantastic. I didn't realize that, like, so since I saw the ad on Untapped, is this kind of like a national thing, just localized, or is it just a local market, and you just happen to advertise on Untapped?
Yeah, so we launch and are still only in Columbus, Ohio.
Mhm.
With some of these social media platforms, especially like the Meta world, you can target your ads to geographical locations. Untapped recently released kind of that geographical target, right in line with when we did a little bit of a partnership and collaboration with them. They're a great group. Untapped, part of Next Glass, and they've got some pretty cool brands underneath the Next Glass, and so it was a really cool fit for us to do some marketing alongside them.
I Another bonus thing. Are you still running the Kanga coolers promotion?
Yeah, we are. We are. I think on our site it might say that it's a little bit or it expired, but yeah, we're still running that promotion.
No, that's great. That was one of the main factors because I've been looking at getting a Kanga cooler, and I'm like, well, let me combine the best of both worlds here, getting a beer delivered and a cooler. So,
Yeah, those dudes are badasses. It's funny. So I have an advisor on the business, and he used to work for Coca-Cola, and he's like my marketing and branding advisor. And yeah, so he's the our brand advisor. He used to work for Coca-Cola in their marketing department, and he was also the marketing and branding advisor for Kanga Coolers. And so that's how we got aligned with them. And they have an awesome, like hilarious brand that I think aligned with what we're trying to do and just makes beer fun. So yeah.
no, it's definitely great. It has since moved up into my rotation of coolers. I've received a lot of coolers as like different promotional stuff and stuff like that. And so I live in an apartment. My back deck has a stack of about 4 to 5 like big igloo coolers, just because I have nowhere else to put them. But that Kanga cooler comes in nice.
Yeah, they're sweet. They're definitely sweet.
So what are you drinking on right there? Is that one of the beers that people can pick up?
Yeah, so this is a Derive, one of their, kind of small batch releases. Derive, I think you might be aware, is a really cool brewery, and fits like perfectly in line with what we do. They're a tiny kind of nano brewery. They don't have a canning line. Um, there's only a handful of stores that you can find their beer in throughout the city of Columbus, and so we made a platform that makes them kind of an easier way to distribute to consumers. And so, like, this is a beer. It's called their Veterans Blend. You can only find in their tap room or through Brewker. So they're actually. I mean, we were talking a little bit before. They're one of my favorite breweries in
Mhm.
Columbus. I think all products that they put out are awesome. And we, this is one of my favorite stories is that I think the majority of our subscribers and customers, they are craft beer enthusiasts. The majority of them didn't even know about Derive. And now they're our highest rated brewery. They're one of our highest reordered breweries on our platform. So they just absolutely crush it. So, I love that partnership for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of them. The first time I was there was I believe it was this past summer. I worked a sour festival there.
Yeah.
One of the brewery I work for, I went over there and I poured up a couple of our own beers there. But there was real great guys, real kind of hole in the wall location though.
Yeah.
Uh, in that little mini mart there, but it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's funny. Like, I've had the opportunity to learn so much about the industry now that I'm, both feet in. And I think that their IPAs honestly stand up against anybody's. I know Hoof Hearted
mhm.
has an incredible reputation and brand. Some of it's by design, right? Their scarcity factor within, Columbus, but Hoof Hearted still makes an incredible product. But honestly, I put Derives, a lot of their IPAs that they drop against the top brands. Um, anything that they put out is pretty good, but they stand within like this, or they keep it within this lane. Like what I found out early was like newer breweries, early breweries try to be everything to everyone. Um, and it's just tough. Like not every product they put out is going to be great. But as they mature and as they get older, they figure out what they're good at, and they start to, I won't say become specialists, but they become like a little bit more specialized. And so I'd say like derives, IPAs, stand up against anybody's. I mean, they had
Hmm.
that Teddy Grahams like stout that was incredible.
Yes.
But then you've got like Edison, I think their master brewer, Victor, he's from Germany, I think considered in the Midwest like one of the top German brewers. So even like Hofbrauhaus isn't going to touch their German beers. And they have some equipment to break in, and but they are like incredible German brewery. Obviously Gamut in kind of Old Town East. Parsons makes them Parsons just joined. I'm wearing their hat. They're a
Hmm.
badass brand. Their Kolsch will stand up against most Kolsch's. They drop some incredible porters. I don't know. That's what's been fun, I think, for me, not really knowing, that each like brewery represents a taste profile that they're gonna run really hard with. Um, and so that's what I think like you don't have to just get a certain IPA from a certain brewery because that's what it's available. It's like, all right, we'll try this one because they're doing something really cool. I mean, somewhere in particular up in Upper Arlington,
Hmm.
they just did like an apple fritter sour that I thought was pretty badass. So I don't know. That's what like I think has been the biggest impact for me was seeing, how certain breweries make like really good. I mean, Pretentious Barrel House, barrel aged sours, like they continue to just crush it. On their rate. If you know that you're ordering a sour, like people really like those. So sorry to like that's just been a part that I've been most excited about was like this journey of learning breweries.
No, that's great. I originally I'm not from Ohio. I'm originally from upstate New York. And so when I first started this podcast, I was pretty much brand new to the whole Columbus area. I knew some of the Columbus breweries, of course, just from I lived up in Bowling Green. My wife was going to school there, and I worked at a bottle shop up there. So I knew a couple of the Columbus brands that we got up there, like obviously Hoof Hearted. We got a couple of their stuff. It was very rare, and just some other one like Seventh Son, some stuff like
Yep.
that. Um, but when I came down here, I didn't really know the craft beer scene as I do now, and I also moved down here. My wife and I decided to move to Columbus the January before COVID happened. And so I
Okay.
was like, I could get a job at a brewery in Columbus, no problem. I can get a job. And so we didn't re-sign our lease. And then I came down here and had no job lined up essentially, other than food delivery service. But that was unreliable because everybody else was doing that at that time.
Yeah.
And so my buddy and I, we decided to make this podcast as a way to uh, help local breweries get the word out of what they were doing during the whole pandemic. That's what our first probably 10, 12 episodes are about.
Nice.
But that's something I also have seen, just being a part of the Columbus beer scene more, going to breweries and not being like, well, excuse me, I have a craft beer podcast, but just going there and talking to people and just learning like just everybody's story at these breweries and the different beers that all of these great places are making. Like some of the ones that you mentioned, I've never been to Edison. That's on my list. But those
Yep.
guys over at Parsons, um, they were one of the first brewery episodes that we did, and I went there, and they're just like, "Here's a box of beer."
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
and they're a bunch of great guys over there, and they make some really good beers. That Kolsch is probably hands down one of my favorite Kolsch's in town.
Yeah, absolutely. We're fortunate in Columbus to have so many breweries that they can choose to specialize. You get a small town that might have like two or three breweries. They're going to make everything, right?
Hmm.
Because they have to. It's a unique experience to try different styles of beer. But Columbus, we have so many that you kind of, like I said, you get this balance between like specialists, like a Pretentious or Edison, and these like just really good brewers that can span the taste profiles, like a Parsons, Drive, the Holy Trinity's putting out some pretty sweet stuff. Tim over there, Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So
No, that's great. Um, since you said that you're in Columbus, were you planning on expanding out of the state at one point, maybe, or are you planning on to like bring other cities in Ohio into the fold?
yeah, great question. Our goal is, we want to expand outside the state, but Columbus, will always be our test market, our home city. We're looking to bring on probably Cleveland and then Dayton in the next a couple months. Our business has grown, and we've had that journey of a startup for the last 6 months. We've brought on some kind of cool extensions. The one with like the cabin rentals down in Hocking Hills, that when you rent a cabin in Hocking Hills, you have the option to like stock your fridge with local Columbus beer. So your fridge is kind of stocked upon arrival
Oh, that's
with,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, and so that's kind of our test market, right? And if it shows some success, it's like, do we try to move into Airbnb? This is like, I always use the example of Austin, Texas. If I'm going to travel down to Austin, I'm going to want to drink Austin beers, right? But I don't
Right.
know the Austin beer scene. So there's this platform that's kind of like a craft beer specialist. They can go ahead and give me, one or two cases of different Austin beer. I mean, I still select them, right? But at least like I know that they're Austin beers. They're from the craft beer scene. So we brought that one on, and then um, what we're launching next week, which is the part that I'm most excited about, is we're moving into like the bars and restaurants and hotels. So we're going into the retail space, which wasn't the plan at the beginning, but I think it just aligned so well with our goal of like making local beer accessible or more accessible. So that's what we're doing as of next week, and then or I guess into this week, and then we'll start expanding that platform throughout the state of Ohio, and then we've got some uh, target cities here in the near future.
Now, when you say going into like bars, restaurants, and hotels, now if I'm not trying to, you to divulge company secrets or anything, do you mean delivering to those places, or like they would be buying their beer from you to like keep in stock at their bar?
Yeah, so we not too much like company secret. We get asked all the time. So we aren't a distributor or a reseller in any way.
Hmm.
Um, we facilitate transactions between the right now consumers and their local breweries. And then we'll do the same thing with retailers. It's just facilitate a transaction between those. Same thing is, we have partnered with a tech courier that has all the alcohol delivery permits to facilitate those deliveries. When we go into the bars, or like to the retailer space, a direct to retailer, uh, what's awesome, and I think there's about 39 states in the US. Sorry if I'm going to talk a little bit of business.
No, that's
Hopefully it's
great.
not too,
This is fantastic. I'm
yeah, hopefully it's not too crazy boring. So there's like 39 states in the US that allow self distro up to a certain amount of barrel limit. And you know, there's a huge problem in the craft beer world, and that is distribution. So a distributor, they're going to have massive cold warehouses, and their key performance indicators, KPIs that they're going to be measured against are inventory turns, less cash on hand working capital. And so in order to have more inventory turns, one of the biggest factors is less SKUs or less products, so you can turn inventory faster. So there's this imbalance in this three-tiered system. That's what we were founded on, was craft beer drinkers like a variety of craft beer. Craft breweries like making a variety of craft beers. Like, those master brewers are artists in their own form. But then there's this distributor in the middle that says like, I don't really like a variety of I've already got 5 IPAs. I don't even know how to spell Kolsch, and don't talk to me about a porter. And it's like, well, that's what, it's cold outside. These are things I might want right now. And so we put product availability, inventory at the brewer's hands, and said like, if you guys can self distro, we're going to facilitate and make this more available. So you've got some major distributors in Ohio, specifically in Columbus, that have these I'll even say like e-commerce platforms that say like, hey, if you log on to my platform, you can order directly from my warehouse. They're sorry, some slogans like ERP systems, their inventory management, enterprise resource planning programs. And so some like bars and retails are not like thrilled about it. And then, but there's this access to self distro, which is incredible. And these bars and retailers are like, I love that our local breweries can do self distribution. They don't necessarily have to work with a distributor. The problem is that bar manager or that bar restaurant owner says, I don't have time to call 15 local breweries because each one has their own sales rep. Then that sales rep might be the master brewer. And there's like, I just don't have time to track it down. So we built this platform to like make it a little bit easier to go buy from your local breweries. That in one screen you can choose between, Holy Trinity and Derive and Edison, get all of that in one purchase and have it delivered to your bar. And I think like the problem we were solving, which again, I'm excited about this because this wasn't our original design, was we were solving a problem that local craft beer wasn't like easily accessible. So we wanted to create an incredible experience for craft beer drinkers. Well, we didn't realize that problem also exists for retailers. Is like a bar is going to say, I like to have a really good draft. It's like, let's say third base Pine House up in Powell, kind of like a local, I won't even call it like a towny bar, but his taps, he got 12 taps, only Ohio beers. He's like, I wish I could buy more from the self distro guys. I just don't have time. And it's like, well, hey, here's this platform for 15 guys in Columbus. And he's like, sign me up. If I can start buying more direct, like I absolutely will. It's a long story. It's like it's kind of this complicated market that we have, through technology and through some changes in the industry, have just made that local beer availability a little bit more easy to access.
No, that's great. That's great. I've worked at bottle shops. I was a beer and wine team lead at a Giant Eagle, so I kind of know like a little bit about what you're talking about. But this is having you on the show. We don't get a lot of the whole business side of things when it comes to craft beer. We get more of like the brewers coming on to talk about their recipes and stuff like that. So you coming on to talk about this is excellent. It's
awesome. I'm really excited. Obviously, I'm pretty passionate about it, and that was, we now kind of say that we want to make self distribution sustainable and scalable. And we believe like we could be that engine to that. We still have some learning curves, but the local craft brewery support has just been like, I feel like incredibly fortunate to have had the support that we've had in Columbus with our partner breweries. Like even the big guys, Land Grant, Seventh Son, not to like name drop, but like, the Benners over at Land Grant, Colin at Seventh Son, like it's like proof is that even that they have massive brands, they're so authentic. That's what makes them continue to win in their local markets. And I can't say enough about even the big brands within Columbus of how like supportive they've been on what we're doing.
No, that's great. I'm glad that you're seeing a lot of support from the breweries. And I mean, without support from the breweries, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing. It's like, let me help you. That's essentially what I'm getting from what you were saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So few other questions that I have here. I wanted to ask what your favorite style of beer was. I know we were talking just a little bit about this when we.
That's a great question. Gosh, that's a great question.
Because I'm your response right now. That's how I answer. I'm a very seasonal drinker. Like when it comes to like the colder months, I'm drinking my stouts, my porters, my brown ales, and then when it starts to lighten up, I drink more pilsners, lagers, kolsches, and I fluctuate with the seasons.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same way. I was like thinking through my like, what am I drinking right now? Like, Yeah, I mean, I definitely like an IPA. Probably I'd say a porter is like I really really love a porter. I'll drink that 3 seasons a year. What's really interesting to me is what like it's the way I look at it is who's going to win the IPA 12 pack market. Okay,
Hmm.
so I grew up in Atlanta. Then we are fortunate that we had Sweetwater, and they were competing with like the Sierra Nevadas and even before the Lagunitas. I feel like, and they brought a 6 pack of craft beer with a Sweetwater 420, just a pale ale. Like that was right. That was craft beer when I was growing up. And the now who's winning the Georgia market for 12 pack IPA is Creature Comforts Tropicalia.
Hmm.
I think Truth is probably the closest thing in Ohio to saying who's winning that market as far as like a drinkable IPA all day. Like I'm gonna get that instead of a Bud Light. Like that's what Tropicalia has done in the state of Georgia. I think the friends down south from Derive might be that IP. If they can get it on a mass production scale, that beer I think is like. So what I'll say is like if you a drinkable IPA, Tropicalia's I think it's like 7.8%, which is crazy. They sell 12 packs of them, and like it's different when you move from a 6 pack to 12 pack. So I'm like, who's gonna win that 12 pack IPA market share? I think Land Grant puts out some really good ones, Seventh Son, but
Hmm.
that's what I'm like very intrigued about is that IPA that's gonna uh you know kind of win that market.
No, that's great. I I I get what you're saying with the truth. Um, I'm trying to think of any others that like it's just Ohio based 12 packs because I was about to say the the Founders All Day IPA, but that's a Michigan.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. Uh, I know Land Grant's come out with a couple of 12 packs, right? The
They had the Osher, and then like I think they maybe put like a stiff arm in it. CBC
That's right.
has
Yeah.
done. CBC's got a couple, has one or two. Um, but I mean, like when I go back home, and I mean, I've talked to a handful of liquor stores and bottle shops, and they're like, yeah, I mean, we sell 4 to 1 Tropicalias than we do any other IPA. There's like it's not even a competition, and Tropicalia is like relatively 5 years old in prevalence. Like, I mean, they just swept the market in like specifically Atlanta. I mean, University of Georgia Bulldogs are doing better, unfortunately. But
Oh,
I
not
mean,
from Atlanta, not a Bulldogs fan.
no, I went to Georgia Tech. So
Oh,
Georgia
okay.
Tech and then grad school at Ohio State. So I couldn't have been cheering harder against the Georgia Bulldogs during the college football playoffs. So yeah, absolutely.
Um, so how do breweries get in contact with you if they would like to, sit down and talk and figure out a way to become part of the Brewker umbrella, I guess.
Yeah, they can email me directly. We're still small enough that we kind of handhold all of our new accounts. They deserve it. Blake.gleaves@brewker.com. And as we're getting bigger, we've got the big Ohio Craft Brewers Conference in Cleveland in
Hmm.
2 weeks. That's when we'll maybe go further out into the market, a wider spread approach as we look to open up Cleveland and maybe Dayton. So yeah.
How do new customers join?
Brewker.com is our engine for customer signups. We always love the subscriber that gets the weekly deliveries. But we also offer the one-time order feature that you can just order once, get it delivered, and then the 1 month trial. So you've got those options at checkout. And I always, if you're just a one-time customer, it's awesome. We love having you. Just ask that you always check back because it was fun in the summer. We were really ramping up at the end of summer, and I was telling people like, we had 60 beers at that time. I think we've got
Hmm.
probably close to 140 different locally brewed beers on our platform now, and I was like, our like menu or brews was about to change dramatically going from summer to fall. And those 60 beers that were there when we started, I think maybe 10 of them are left. They deactivate them, and then now we just have this like crazy different taste profile. So always check back and see what's new and what the brewers are releasing.
Do any of the breweries do like a just an exclusive that you can only get through Brewker?
Uh not not exclusive in the sense that you can't get at their tap room. But we have, I'd say 75% of our beers are limited releases, and maybe 25% of them are brewer exclusives, so that you can only get them at the brewery tap rooms. So our goal was like, I say for instance, Land Grant. You go to any retail outlet, you can probably find 5 different Land Grant beers, but you go to their tap room, they have 20. We wanted to help sell those 6 through 20 versus 1 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so like even with the mainstream guys, a lot of their limited releases or taproom exclusives are on Brewker. So yeah.
No, that's great. I know I personally have gotten a couple of the limited releases. The Friendsgiving from Derive, and
Yeah.
next week I have it ordered, the Land Grant 8th anniversary, because I just saw that, and
Yeah.
I wasn't able to go this year to pick up a 6-pack of their anniversary beers.
Yeah. No worries. Order from a couple different ones too, that if you see something that's like real cool, that because again, a lot of our products, they're only on there for like 2 weeks,
Mhm.
or sometimes a month. I mean, just because that's what's on tap, or that's what's available, and that's what it's just like. If I see something to drop, like I'm gonna get that right now. So yeah.
No, that's great. I've enjoyed my experience, even on the weeks where I've had like an issue or something. Like
Yeah,
where
sorry about that.
no, it's totally fine. I totally, just not the end of the world. Um, on the customer service has been great on weeks that I've had like a small issue, or I think once the beer that I requested wasn't available, but I was asked if I wanted a substitute, and the substitute that I had was excellent. So it wasn't, I'm a big fan of the customer service over there, because I've just a little hiccup that I had with
Yeah.
that, and that's all.
It's for sure part of the startup world. But I mean, well, we're really in the process of releasing this retail side of it.
Hmm.
We're finding bugs left and right, and but that's a like your example of the brewery ran out of the beer or they took it off the shelves. Always the master brewery gets involved, and they're like, "What's closest that you'd recommend?" And I just feel awesome about that support that the brewery is. I'll text them, "Hey, you're out of this one. What would you recommend?" And it's like all hands on deck. Like, this is the one we recommend, and they're sweet about it. So
So as we kind of wrap things up here, was there anything that you wanted to mention before getting on out of here, Blake?
no, thanks again for having me. I think overall it's said enough. Buy local, support your local breweries.
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome. I think kind of the closing note maybe is, what I've seen in the industry, which has been awesome, is 10 years ago, we'd say buy local or drink local, and there's 30 breweries in all of Columbus, or all of Ohio, 50 breweries in all of Ohio. So like drinking local just meant the state of Ohio or a lot of other cities. And then, over the last 10 years, we now have 50 breweries in central Ohio.
Yeah.
So drinking local has kind of changed. And we, that's our goal. Like when we just say like, make it, local, more accessible. It's those breweries in your city, and you're within a 20-25 mile radius, which has just been awesome. Like to see kind of our industry go that way. So, keep supporting your local breweries, visit the
Mm-hmm.
tap room. And, again, thank you for having, having me. Hopefully the business side hasn't been too boring.
No, I've thoroughly enjoyed this episode. This has been great just to see a whole another side of the whole brewing industry.
Yeah, we're I think very unique and kind of a very changing industry, and it's I couldn't have asked for a better kind of pivot that, I won't say fell into my lap, but like, kind of I got lucky on. The support of our local breweries has just been, it's been outrageous. Like, so the support of you. So thanks a lot. And go to Brewker and check out not our beers, but all the Columbus beers, and we're looking forward to opening up in new cities for sure.
No, that's great, and I look forward to it, especially opening up in newer cities as well. Maybe getting the opportunity to try smaller breweries from these cities that I normally would never get the chance to try. So, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, that's the fun part. As we expand, as we go into new cities, once you have a Brewker account, that Brewker account travels. So if we're in those, for instance, we go to Austin or Denver and you're traveling there, you can pull up your Brewker account and go ahead and set out a delivery for when you arrive. So that's kind of our network will build within our consumers as well.
Man, I wish Nate was here for this episode. Nate's my co-host. He's actually he's working on his master's at Ohio State for business right now. So I'm sure he's going to get a kick out of this episode.
Yeah, that's where I went to Fisher to get my MBA. So if he has any questions, not like I'm going to have good answers, but yeah, I know that well. So, well, awesome. I look forward to, maybe we'll do a podcast here, later down the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, awesome, Lucas. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you, Blake, for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day on this holiday weekend to sit down with me and talk about Brewker and talk about beer and enjoy a beer together. So that was great.
Yeah. Cheers, Lucas.
Cheers. All right. Well, this was an end of another episode of the Pint Pals podcast. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.